Hallo und willkommen zu Lone Star. Wir spielen Agatha Christie, Hercule Poirot, der London Case. Ja. Ich muss mal die Tasten bei Gelegenheit umbelegen. Ja, wir haben ja mit ihr das letzte Mal gesprochen. Dann reden wir nochmal mit ihr.
Mademoiselle Farquhar, I shall have your cigarette case returned to you before we reach the English coast.
Oh, da müssen wir uns aber beeilen.
I hope so, Detective.
Den Newspaper Article.
You caught me, reading my own article.
I must say you raise a very interesting point. Art should have no social boundaries. Creativity is for all to enjoy.
Thank you for saying that. I wish everyone was as open-minded.
Merci, mademoiselle. That is all for now.
Oder ist es Versicherungsbetrug? Dann schauen wir mal nach den anderen.
I'm sorry, but it's just not acceptable, Mark.
I've apologized to the lady.
And that makes everything all right?
It was an accident.
An accident that could have been avoided if you hadn't spent your morning drinking.
Gentlemen, you are behaving like two young boys in the schoolyard. It ends now.
Telescope. A well-crafted brass telescope for viewing the open ocean and stars above. Da sind aber viele Hebel dran, um das zuzumachen. Ich schätze mal, wir sollten mal mit dem reden.
Is Mademoiselle Farquhar aware you are acting as her knight in shining armor?
I wouldn't go as far as that. I think perhaps we have got off on the wrong foot. I'm Arthur Hastings.
She requested you to follow her to her cabin, no?
Oh, yes, she did, but I wanted to...
Speak with the porter privately? This was part of your investigation?
Well, I'm not a detective. I was just,
Then perhaps you will answer some questions that are vital to my investigation as a detective.
What can I do for you?
Hastings, den kennen wir doch. Hastings, altes Haus. Das ist wohl hier, wie sie sich kennenlernen.
It is. Is my employment relevant to Miss Farquhar's missing cigarette case?
I hope you will entertain me for a moment. What would you say the chances of proving a theft in a case such as this one are?
Well, a report from a detective like yourself will certainly help expedite her insurance claim.
As I thought. It had perhaps not crossed her mind before, but being amongst an officer of the law and an insurance man, the idea of insurance fraud may have appeared appealing.
You wanted to speak with the porter alone?
When Florence, Miss Farquhar, told me that something had gone missing from her safe, I thought it must have been the porter.
How so?
I'd rather not say with him standing just there.
It is not I that controls the volume of your voice.
You must have noticed the smell of beer on his breath. I wouldn't put it past a man that drinks on the job to steal.
That is quite the accusation. And if you were correct, you wish to settle the matter with him privately?
I wanted to give him what for, but I suppose I lost my nerve.
I say! Ich muss ja bei Hastings immer an die Serie denken. Das ist mein Lieblings-Hastings. Weiß es nur leider gar nicht, wie er heißt. Tell me more about your work.
I'm what some would call a middleman. I oversee the handling of recently sold items and put the buyer in contact with an appropriate insurer.
Hat ja gesagt, appropriate insurance lender.
The mention of insurance initially sparked my attention. But the more he talks of his work, I believe he may be my mysterious contact from Lloyd's of London.
Bank.
It was your work that took you to Belgium? I can't go into too many details, but I'm actually delivering a rather special piece of art to London. I'm meant to be meeting an official of some sorts that's supposed to be helping me, but no sign of them yet.
Eieiei, und er plappert das einfach dem nächstbesten hier raus. Also, da wird der Poirot nicht begeistert sein. Hastings.
And it is confirmed. It concerns me that my supposed trusted colleague has found himself involved in the middle of my investigation. I will continue to withhold my true identity and see how Monsieur Hastings' involvement concludes.
Merci, monsieur. This really is an exciting case. Anything I can do to help Miss Farquhar, please don't hesitate to ask.
Your enthusiasm has been noted.
Dann reden wir mit dem mal. Mark.
Perhaps you and I can have a more civilized discussion.
I'll tell you the same as I told your friend. I will not be bullied.
Intimidation is not my forte. What is uncovering the identity of criminals and making sure they are punished to the fullest extent of the law.
De Leu.
And that's me?
Tut mir leid, dass ich das jede Folge mache.
That is what I am yet to conclude.
Is it usual for one to consume alcohol while at work? Ja, bei ihm vermute ich schon.
Who said anything about drinking alcohol?
It does not take a detective to identify the distinct odor on one's breath.
Maybe one to calm my nerves. My sea legs aren't here yet, that's all.
How did you come to injure your hand?
I was in the cargo hold, cutting something with my knife, and it slipped. No harm done.
I am not quite sure you understand what that means.
So now I am stupid and a drunk?
And a thief.
Do you have the knife in question on your person now?
I don't. He stole it and won't return it.
Na, super. Da müssen wir also Hastings nochmal belästigen.
What can I do for you?
Monsieur de Potter's knife. May I see it?
Oh,
Da ist Blut. Evidence of blood. This must be what Monsieur Allard cut himself on. The tip has been dulled and there appear to be the slightest metallic flakes still clinging. Aha. Ist auch nicht das Messer hier. A standard handle for such a knife. A sailor's marlinspike with a foldable blade and a stained spike tip. Will ja gar nicht weiter. I have no reason to go there now. Trip evidence. Who stole Florence cigarette case? Da gibt's nichts Neues. Oh. Also, was haben wir hier alles? Cigarette case. A sterling silver cigarette case that belonged to Mademoiselle Farquhar's mother was stolen from the safe in her cabin. Anastasia Wie hat er geheißen? Babannen? Nee, nicht. Also, er hat es irgendwie anders geheißen. Anastasia says she was quick to lay her head to rest. Also, there's no proof of her claim. Hastings, Arthur Hastings. Monsieur Hastings was working alone in his cabin since helping Mademoiselle Farquhar with her luggage, so he says. Also, Monsieur Hastings was quick to offer up the knife. He must have known what position he was putting himself in by handling it. Mark Allard. A knife, such as the Potters, could be the perfect tool to break into the cabin. With no witnesses to confirm his movements, I cannot rightly confirm his alibi. Florence Farquhar. Mademoiselle Farquhar's set of keys to her cabin, given to her when boarding the ship, no doubt. An opportune moment for a valuable item to go missing. Insurance claim. Has not any visitors to her cabin before her cry for help. I must have been aware of the safe combination code to open the safe in the first place. Anastasia, den Namen probieren wir gar nicht. Intellectually conducting herself in a fitting manner for a woman of the times. Anastasia is an inquisitive mystery to Poirot when they first meet on board the ship. Little is known about her, but she is one that Poirot is keen to become more familiar with. From a wealthy family, striking beauty. Florence Farquhar is a fashionable young woman and one of London's leading art critics. She writes a regular art column for the London Illustrated News, a position she prides herself on. Arthur Hastings, employed by Lloyd of London. Hastings is the insurer overseeing the handling of the painting and loan of the artworks to the museum. It is in his capacity that he first meets Poirot traveling between Antwerp and Dover. Mark Eller. In his early 40s, Mark is a porter working on the ship sailing between Antwerp and Dover. A book. Reading, an excellent way to distract oneself from the surrounding ocean. Accompanied with tea, however. I cannot agree with the choice of beverage. Aber nichts. Das haben wir alles schon mal benutzt. Gibt's hier nichts anderes mehr? Florence Gala invitation. I will be attending in a professional capacity, but I would have very much liked an invite of my own as a souvenir of my time in London. The committee at the Royal Edward Gallery requests the pleasure of the presence of Miss Florence Farquhar to the unveiling of an extraordinary new exhibition from the Musées de Beaux-Arts de Belgique, including the pendant Magdalene. Item added to inventory. The formal invitation on one side, blank on the other. Was heißt denn hier eigentlich Move?
Of course. Whatever you need.
Was the cigarette case insured?
Insured? Oh no, why would I have it insured?
Anything of substantial monetary value.
I'll stop you there, Detective. The cigarette case itself is hardly worth 2 pennies, but to me, it's priceless.
Has anyone been alone in your cabin?
Not for a second. At least not with my permission. You probably think this silly, naive woman has left her valuables out, or I've just misplaced them. But I assure you, that is not me.
It had not crossed my mind for even a moment.
The gala invitation?
Yes, I'm really quite excited about it.
You have been invited to a preview at the Royal Edward Gallery. A small world indeed.
Ja, würde mich jetzt nicht wundern, wenn die Anastasia da auch noch hingeht.
Will you be in attendance? It's actually one of the reasons that I have been in Belgium. I was lucky enough to have a sneak peek at some of the pieces on show. I'll also be writing a follow-up article on the success of it. Fingers crossed.
Lucky indeed. I am sure it will be a great success. Merci, mademoiselle. That is all for now.
You could ask me anything.
Leider wissen wir gerade
You have
gar
been
nichts.
most helpful, mademoiselle. I...
So, was haben wir jetzt als nächstes? None of the suspects knew Florence' safe combination code. I can confirm that none of the suspects used the code to access the safe. So, wirklich? Jetzt können wir hier wieder eine Verbindung herstellen. Und eigentlich muss es was sein mit dem Neuen hier, mit dem da. Ja, das läuft hier aber arg dran vorbei hier. Zu was könnte das passen? Keiner hat's gewusst.
One step closer to revealing the truth.
Also, the suspects did not have the code to the safe. There is still a chance that it was cracked open. The safe was cracked. Muss man also vermutlich untersuchen. Mademoiselle Farquhar is clearly upset, but its sentimental value appears to outweigh its monetary. Contradiction. Nein, nicht mit ihr reden. So. Wir drehen mit der Maus, nicht mit Q und E. Können wir das jetzt benutzen hier? Perhaps the powder case I found may be some use. Where's the sense in that? Fingerabdrücke, aber das haben wir schon ausprobiert, ne? Das haben wir ja schon geprüft. Das hatten wir schon mal. Das hat nichts gebracht. Wieso komme ich da jetzt immer ins Menü?
What can I do for you?
Monsieur, the Porter's Knife, may I see it?
Oh.
Das haben wir ja schon angesehen. Ja, das die ganze Zeit noch. Können wir das jetzt irgendwie kombinieren vielleicht noch mit unserem Fingerabdrücken? Nee. Ah. Ey, sorry, das mit der rechten Maustaste, die muss ich unbedingt abschalten im Menü. Wer macht dann im Menü bitte auf die rechte
Oui,
Maustaste?
monsieur.
I shall let you return to your duties.
Aha. Okay, wir müssen uns also irgendwas genauer anschauen noch. Was wir jetzt noch nicht gefunden haben. Da kam jetzt die Meldung, dass es nicht geht, weil ich versucht habe, das zu drehen, die Karte, aber das geht hier nicht. Ja, aber mit den Fenstern ist auch nix. Dining room.
Ah.
I have no reason to go there now. Nicht. Da oben geht es auch nicht weiter. Also muss es irgendwie bei dem Safe weitergehen.
Ha.
Da kann man nichts machen. Aber das Supper hatten wir uns auch schon angeschaut. Door Handle. Machen wir die Tür mal zu. Ah. Okay, das hat also jemand aufgebrochen hier.
Ah.
These scratches must have been made by something sharp. A blade, perhaps. Und hier ein Fingerabdruck. The light is catching part of a fingerprint. I do not have the appropriate tools with me, but I'm sure I can find some way to reveal the full print. Use. Also, dann erstmal das Pulver. Perhaps the powder case I found may be of some use.
Magnifique. A fingerprint. Now to determine who it belongs to.
You found one, detective? Ah, how exciting! I suppose you'll want to take mine. To rule me out, I mean.
Allerdings.
Of course. Whatever you need.
There appear to be scratches on the cabin door's lock. Who could have caused these scratches? Currently, the only suspect I have for the scratches is the porter, Mark. Why the porter? He owns a sailing knife. Essential for any sailor or ship worker. And cut on the hand, a nasty wound caused by an accident with his knife. Or so he claims. That is not right. Come now, concentrate. Oh, wie... Was soll er dann, Alcoholic sein? I do not wish to make an assumption, but his attitude towards drinking while at work leads me to consider is a bigger issue. Ansonsten haben wir ja nichts. Looking at the condition of the door and its lock, I cannot rule out a drunken attempt to open it. Ach, weil da so viele Kratzer drin waren. Drunken Break-In. So, bitte hier wieder raus. Mark.
Oui, monsieur.
Wir brauchen mal deine Fingerabdrücke.
I shall let you return to your duties.
Okay. Wieso kann ich die jetzt nicht nehmen? Das wäre doch eigentlich geschickt jetzt, oder? Mist. Das klappt nicht.
What can I do for you?
Ja, ich würde jetzt gerne hier Fingerabdrücke nehmen. Geht aber nicht. Und da auf dem Teleskop könnten auch welche sein. Im Buch. Schon ein bisschen seltsam. Ich würde halt jetzt gerne einfach Fingerabdrücke von jedem nehmen. Aber darf ich anscheinend nicht. Aber die haben ja auch nichts mehr zu sagen. Ach so, er fängt mit ihr an. Would you allow me a sample of your fingerprint?
Am I to be used as your guinea pig?
I would not dare compare you to a guinea pig. Would you be so kind?
Außerdem dürfen wir dann beim Fingerabdruck neben ihrer Hand halten.
The answer is yes, of course. I have nothing to hide.
So, dann nehmen wir die Gala-Invitation. Und ist es jetzt Mascara? Oder das Powder? The thief knew exactly how to keep the identity hidden. I must not take fingerprint samples from the others. Taking Mademoiselle Farquhar will allow me to compare what prints are hers with those that may belong to our thief. Followed by samples from Monsieur Hastings and Monsieur Allard. The only fingerprint that remains on the door is the one left by Mademoiselle Farquhar upon returning to her cabin. The culprit continues to evade me. There must be something I have not considered. Was hat er jetzt? Die alle angeguckt schon? Ich habe doch gar nicht mit jedem gesprochen. Mademoiselle Farquhar's fingerprint is the only one that remains on the door handle from when she returned to her cabin. Strange to find no fingerprints on the dial at all. Wir brauchen hier eine neue Verbindung. Das widerspricht sich so ein bisschen mit dem Cracked und Fingerprint. Was machen wir denn da? Ich meine, das passt irgendwie zusammen, oder? No tampering?
Now, think on what has already been learned.
Nee, das hat er nicht gemacht. Ach ja, die sind jetzt praktisch ausgerotet. Die passen nicht. Das sind die 2 neuen Sachen, aber das... Wie sollten...
The answer was staring me in the face.
Echt? Tatsächlich? Okay, und die Antwort ist... No fingerprints on dial and no useful fingerprints remain on the door. The thief has been careful to cover their tracks.
I cannot see the logic in this. Perhaps a second look.
Naja. Aber no useful fingerprints, hätte ich doch gesagt. Das passt dann dazu, dass sie hier vorsichtig war. Oh, müssen wir es jetzt echt ausprobieren? Passt es zu New
The
Safe?
evidence suggests something.
Oh. Wir versagen hier völlig. The safe has been cracked.
The pieces of the puzzle are finally coming together.
Eieieiei. Das ist jetzt also die Hilfefunktion. Wenn man zu lange rumratet, hat er das jetzt hier eingeblendet. Ich glaube, das kann man aber abschalten, wenn man will. Aber ich glaube, wir brauchen das. The pieces of the puzzle are finally coming together. Und was sagt er? The thief's attempt to fool me and cover their tracks only shows they knew exactly what they were doing. Expert Break-In. Kann ich jetzt sagen, das passt nicht zusammen? Der war es ja vermutlich nicht. I can confirm that the porter was nothing more than a scapegoat for the thief. The erratic scratches on the door lock were made to make me believe he was behind the theft.
Voila.
Porter framed. Complete. Voila. My initial suspicion that the porter may have been the thief is beginning to waver. Would someone go to the lengths of framing him? Offensichtlich. Als es jetzt ist es erledigt, weil hier der Punkt dran ist? Complete. Vermutlich. Contradiction. There are signs of an attempted drunken break-in, but this is clearly work of an expert.
I must consider the suspects I have in front of me. Monsieur Hastings. He is keen to impress Mademoiselle Farquhar and claims that he was alone in his cabin working since. Mark Allard, the porter. Evidence suggests a rather amateur attempt to break into the safe, which in his intoxicated state would make sense. But it was just a ruse. The safe was opened quite masterfully, leaving only signs of a poorly attempted break-in.
Oder hat er sich erst danach betrunken? Es ist ein Double Bluff. Es ist ein Double Bluff.
Mademoiselle Babagnan.
Babagnan.
A new friend to Mademoiselle Farquhar, who appeared at a most convenient time.
Aber wir wollen sie doch nicht mit ihrer striking beauty als böse darstellen, oder?
I cannot see a motive besides the obvious value of the cigarette case. But Mademoiselle Farquhar has made it quite clear the value is of a sentimental nature. Perhaps the best thing for me would be to return to my cabin to think. I fear my legs and perhaps even my evening meal will not last much longer amidst these waves. Perhaps.
Ah, detective. How goes the investigation?
A good detective, better yet, a great detective, will find motive, means, and opportunity.
She found it! Miss Babagnan found it! Oh, thank heavens!
I was on my way to speak with the captain when I saw something shining underneath one of those pipes.
How very unlikely.
Strange that it was not spotted earlier by any one of us while on the ship's deck.
Maybe the thief was scared and dumped it for fear of being caught red-handed.
Miss Babagnan, Anastasia, you saved the day. I can't thank you enough.
And you, of course, Detective.
I find Mademoiselle Babagnan's explanation of finding the cigarette case rather coincidental. But without any definitive proof, I cannot suggest anything otherwise. The cigarette case has been returned and the coast is in sight, which is what is important.
Ja, wir haben aber gesagt, wir würden den Dieb finden. Haben wir aber nicht.
Although, there still remains a part of me that craves the truth.
I suppose you can chalk that up as a victory.
A victory for Mademoiselle Farquhar, but not in the eyes of the law.
Das sind ganz schön viele Sternschnuppen im Hintergrund.
Well, if anyone asks, I'll confirm what a splendid job you did.
Very kind, monsieur. While we are on the matter of truth, Monsieur Arthur Hastings, you are here to oversee the transportation of the penitent Magdalene painting, are you not?
How on earth?
You are aware of my employment, but not of my true identity. Detective Hercule Poirot.
Wait, are you the official that I was supposed to have met on board?
Oui, monsieur. Please, accept my apologies for keeping my true identity hidden. But I had to be sure your involvement with the theft was purely coincidental. When it comes to the nature of our work, trust must be earned.
A little unorthodox, but I suppose I understand. So you can trust me now?
It continues to grow.
Well, we have a couple of weeks before the gala, so hopefully by then you'll trust me with your life.
One can hope.
Bevor wir weitermachen, würde ich sagen, machen wir an dieser Stelle lieber erstmal ein kleines Päuschen. Und ich hoffe, es hat euch gefallen und wir sehen uns das nächste Mal.